what is it with bikers and breakfast? You know, I get up early and have crazy hours all week. Buddy Jason texts me. Really like Jason. You met him before. He helped me with the forks and the chopper. He's an expert on vintage bikes. So let's go for a breakfast ride tomorrow. I'm like, okay. What time? 2 a.m. No, I mean, not 2 a.m., but it's really, I mean, the sun is rising. But last time I went out with him on one of these cockamamie things, we were up at 3. And I ain't exaggerating. Anyway, so I'm going to go have breakfast with buddy Jason. He might be on one of his vintage bikes, or he might be on his modern road glide. I don't know. But we're going to have breakfast because I want to tell him in person what I'm about to tell all of you. So let's go feed the fat guy. So I'm at the meetup point, which is just a gas station down the street from the house. But this bird shit on my back fender, and I can't find one of them wiper jobby, you know? So I guess that's just gonna have to stay there for a while. That's dirty. She needs love more than this. So my buddy Jason, who I'm meeting, he would kill me for saying this, but he's an expert on old bikes. He really is. Like, his knowledge just amazes me. He has, right now, a 1980 FLH shovel that he's owned for like 30 years. He has a 1973 FLH that is all original. He even has the tires in the corner of his shop that came on it new. And it's fully dressed out. It's got the bags and the fairing original. So back then when you bought an FLH, which is basically, you were buying a Road King with nothing on it. No bags or nothing, right? And then accessory from the catalog, you bought those white fiberglass bags and white fiberglass fairing, and then you could add a tour pack and a buddy seat and all that stuff. Dealers back then would often accessorize them on the showroom floor, like they do today, you know. But a lot of those FLHs were sold with the fairing and bags already on it and all that stuff. He has all that stuff. The bike's incredible. It's a museum piece. He rides it a lot, though. He also has a 1999 last year of the Evolution motor, the 1340, which is probably my favorite motor. It's the one all my dad's, you know, cool buddies, cool bikes had when I was a kid. But he has a 1999 Evo skinny tire Springer Softail, which, you know, is like probably my favorite Harley of all time. He also has a 65 Panhead that he's owned, again, like 30 years. And he has like a late model Road Glide. So I don't know what he'll be on today. He might be just riding his new bike, but I hope he's riding one of the vintage bikes because I just get a kick out of those things. And we're going to go have breakfast and hang out. And I don't know how many miles we get to put on today or not, as many as we can, because I actually need to be home so that I can start working on the RV. I have to give it a bath. We got to clean it inside and out. I got all kinds of million little maintenance items I have to get done in the next 6 weeks because she got a 5,000 mile journey ahead of her, you know, to Sturgis and back. So it's a big announcement, boys and girls. I'm freaking out. We didn't plan this, but I guess we're twinsies today.
All right.
Twinsies!
Matching motors. She had horses or something here, didn't she?
They got one of them.
Huh?
Well, yeah, I'll put you on the list.
That's
man.
cool.
What's your number again?
I like this thing. Here at Treasure Coast Harley now. It's right down the street from where we're having breakfast. They're blasting Whitesnake, so sold. They have, and I didn't video it, I'm sorry, a 79 FLH shovel, but it's got a sidecar on it. I don't want a damn sidecar. I don't want the trouble of taking it off and selling it. You know what I mean? I know someone's gonna say, why don't you sell the sidecar? Because it makes a $9,000 bike cost $13,000, and I don't want a sidecar. We'll get into more of this later. Give me your pinkest motorcycle. Found it. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding. I like this. For some reason, more than the Reliable. I love that it's a Road King. This is electric light on the fender. This is a correct period like color, man. I mean, I like how they kind of played with the double stripe like it would have had if it was late 60s, early 70s. I like this bike for some reason. I don't know why. I was not a fan of the Revival, but I like this guy a lot. They have an orange one outside. All right, I showed that. The orange is better, but in person, this is not a bad color, you know? It's cool. Looks better with the windshield off. That's all Road Kings. So yeah. Very slick. All right, it is now the next day. I apologize. Things got out of control as far as time-wise. Jason and I had a blast. Went up by Treasure Coast, had a nice breakfast. Went to Treasure Coast Harley that you saw the new King of the Highway. By the way, if Harley's watching, I'll take one. Okay, I'm not gonna pay for it. Or I prefer orange, but magenta's fine. Anyway, so Harley ain't sending me a King of the Highway. Don't get excited. So what we were talking about during lunch was something that rather blew him away and still blows me away. I'm still trying to sort of figure this out. But yesterday's a good example of something that I have known for a while, but really kind of come to terms with. I love modern bikes, right? I do. The wife's 19, my 22. I love my road glides. I love my 131 Ultra. Thanks the millionth time to Harley for let us try that 131 motor in it. They're great. They're awesome. If you're doing distance, best bike on earth, et cetera, et cetera. But riding even just a 15-year-old Springer Crossbones, 100 and something miles yesterday with my buddy Jason, my smile was bigger. You know what I mean? And that's just my personality. I'm not saying everyone should be like that, but I love older bikes you're not going to see quite as often. Yes, I know 15 years old and very old. Don't get excited. But bikes you're not going to see as often. Bikes that are unique. Bikes that I've never experienced before but would like to. And on a regular basis, I have a phone call with, y'all know, my good buddy who is the CEO of Advanblack. We're talking about all kinds of stuff. What do we think is going to come out? What we'd like to see come out? What do we like? What do we not like? What are they going to make? What am I excited about that they're going to make? All that sort of stuff. And he said, well, what would you like to do more than anything on your channel? And I said, learn about bikes I don't know anything about. Learn about older bikes. When I was a kid, this video might be long, so buckle up. When I was a kid, I was born in the 70s. So by the time I was aware and able to, fall in love with Harleys like my dad was in love with them, and he could finally afford a Harley, I was probably, 10-ish years old, right? And the first Harley he could afford was a Sportster. We had a mid-80s 4-speed 1200 Sportster. It was a 1200, so whatever year that was, 87? I don't remember what it was. And my timeline's probably screwed up here. But we had an 87-ish, I think, the black and silver Sportster, 4-speed chain drive 1200. And then when the Belt Drive 5-speed came out, he ordered one of those and we got one of those. And around that period, all my dad's buddies rode Harleys. Ever since I can remember, all my dad's buddies rode Harleys. And they all had Evos. What I'm trying to get at is I've never had a shovel head. Never ridden a shovel head. I know shovel heads. I have buddies that have them. Jason has several that I mentioned before in the video. And so I told Alan, I want older bikes. I want to start learning about older bikes that I haven't experienced and what the differences are and kind of share that with all of you, because chances are all of you out there are going to go buy a 70s, 80s, 60s. You're probably not going to have a shovel or a pan. No offense. It's just that they've gotten so expensive and rare and they're hard to keep going and all that stuff that a lot of people aren't going to do that. This channel, I like to tinker on stuff and I like to share that with all of you. So I think it'd be cool to say this is what a shovel is like, or this is what an old Evo is like, or that kind of stuff. And so he said, what would that cost? I ain't screwing with you, boys and girls. Advanblack is going to fund an entire new series of me buying, vintage is kind of a big word, but less common, older bikes, and ride them and experience them and share it all with you. And it's the only sponsorship I have, quote unquote. And sponsorship in that Advanblack has given me seed money, lending me seed money to go out and buy bikes that I think are interesting, one at a time. I don't have enough room. That I think are interesting, that I want to ride and show all of you the goods, the bads, the differences, have some laughs at some of these old bikes, and just kind of get a feel for what an old bike is like and what living one is like. So we're doing it. We're actually doing it. So there's going to be an entire series of videos coming up soon on this channel of me buying older motorcycles. Doesn't even have to always be a Harley. Probably be a lot of Harleys, but there might be some different bikes in there. You never know. But strap in, kiddies. We're going to have some fun. So anyway, so get ready for the entire new Advanblack. Vintage might be a strong word. Vintage is 35, 30 years old, so maybe we'll call it that. I don't know. There also might be some bikes that I think are just weird and rare. We might do that in the middle, so they may not be ancient, but I'm sorry I'm rambling. I'm too friggin' excited. Get ready. Probably, I would say the first video out of that series might drop early next week or something, but I can't express how thankful I am to my buddy at Advanblack, to the whole team there, that I get to do stuff that I really can't afford to do just me. So I'm incredibly appreciative. Get ready. It's going to be fun. Love you all to death. Take care of each other out there. We'll talk real soon. Bye.